Hi, and welcome to Friends, Loves, and Life with me, David Begor. On today's episode, I'm catching up with my longtime friend, Sean Rhodes. We talk about everything from meeting in San Francisco to relationships, tattoos, and what it means to start over at 60. Sean opens up about being adopted, identity, loss, and the incredible community behind the AIDS Lifecycle Ride, which he's participating in one last time. This conversation is full of laughter, honesty, and a deep look at the resilience it takes to keep growing at any age. Here is my conversation with Sean.
Are we recording now, or is this
We are recording now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My friend, Sean Rhodes.
Hi. How are you?
Hi.
Wow.
So
Time has flown, right?
Yes, it has. Do you want to tell the story how we met, or?
Sure. I moved to San Francisco, I guess it was around 1999.
I was born in 1963.
This is in a trunk and anyway.
Okay, we're gonna have to go back to that story at some point.
I broke up with a boyfriend. There seems to be a trend here. I'm not going to go down the long story, but anyway, I broke up with a boyfriend and decided that I had lived in LA for years, and I decided San Francisco would be fine. I love San Francisco, so I moved up there to be with another boyfriend. Whoops.
There's a pattern.
Yeah, that didn't last. But I met you at a back in the late 90s. It was all about the .coms, online businesses, and
what was the name of that company?
Urban Design Online.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the notion was to put, it's basically what Wayfair is now. So the idea was to put furnishings, high-end furnishings, on in an online store, and it didn't quite take off because they didn't really have their concept. And I guess I never really had faith in the idea of, I mean, this is high-end stuff, like sofas and stuff that you're going to buy.
We don't need to know much about the company since it doesn't exist.
Oh, okay, really? Wow. So you just showed up and you were pretty and like did the cute designs. So you did the cute designs. Oh, here's David, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, David's here." No, that was the concept. So they were like high end. This was in the design center in San Francisco. So if anyone knows the area, it's south of Market, not far from, at the time it was called Gold's. What is it called? San Francisco? I can't remember. Fitness.
It's not Gold's anymore?
No, it's they got rid of,
yeah, you know what? I remember that.
Is it SF Fitness? Does that sound right?
Anyway, I can't remember what it's called now.
So it's the same concept. They have, I'm digressing. I feel like Rose from Golden Girls. How many stories can I be juggling at the same time?
Well, that Gold's, it had to leave, right? Because of some anti-gay thing? That
was the premise behind, behind Gold's, is that, yeah, they're anti-gay. And it's like, well, you don't obviously know your market, but the gym was known for that walk of shame, that runway down, you get to the locker room and, everyone was like, oh God, who's the new meat in town? So, anyway, I met you at this online, Urban Design Online, and I can't remember the guy's name who founded it. Was his name?
I can't remember it either.
Anyway, so it was more like friends got together and a bunch of people that had a lot more money than they knew what to do with, started this online company, and it, buying a high-end sofa without sitting on it or without feeling the fabric. So no surprise, it became a .bomb. But anyway, David, you designed the website.
No, actually, I didn't do the website. I did the marketing material. Oh, did I do the website too? God, I can't remember.
I think they were foundering with the design, and you came up with the design, and we dubbed it the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch rectangle, where they would have animated GIFs come in and out of the product.
That's right. I do remember that. Yeah.
And I don't think you really liked the design.
I didn't.
They had a section for where they brought in antiques that people had, and you did this really cool, the A in the antique. It was very old curvilinear design that was kind of a departure from the rest of the design, but it works. So, anyway.
Wow, I had completely blocked that out. I knew that we worked on, oh my God, I can't remember that girl's name that worked with me on the marketing materials.
Yeah, I remember her work. She kind of had it was very cute, almost like a French feel to it.
Yeah, her husband is the one that drew all that,
okay.
artwork. Yeah.
Okay, I remember that. It was very. It all came together, but it was a great time. I was riding my bike to work, and I lived in the Castro. It was just this quintessential gay existence that I lived in. Lived on Beaver Street. How appropriate. Let me tell you, going to work was great if you know the area, the geography, or just going down the hill to the work was great, but it was a bitch coming home. But I had.
Oh, it was all uphill. That's right.
Yeah, I had the quads to show it. So anyway, that's how we met, and there you go.
And here we are.
20-something
years later.
I know. We did date for a month.
I swear to God, it was longer than a month. A month seems
okay. Short. Well, maybe I don't know. I think officially we went on our first date, and you were very cute because you didn't want to. You were kind of old fashioned, and you didn't want to have sex the first night, but we ended up doing that anyway.
Really? I didn't want to have sex the first night?
Yeah, I know. It was. Oh
my God! You have such a. You either have the most amazing memory, or you're just making this shit.
No, we went. I can't remember the name of the restaurant, but it was on Potrero Hill, and I don't know. It was like, well, I need to take a shower. It's like, oh, okay. It was fun. So anyway, it was a good time.
It was a good time. Yeah, I loved living there then. That was a great time to be in San Francisco.
Yeah, truly. You go back now and you're like, ugh. It's sad to see how it's changed.
Yeah, it is not the same.
But the culture across the world is, that's just an offshoot of what's happening with the world, and so it's sad. I hear stories of the Tenderloin was always kind of a sketchy place to live, and these millennials are conducting tours of the Tenderloin. Here's a crack addict. This is a ride at Disneyland or something.
Anything to make $1.
Yeah, it's like, well, what about compassion? What about these people that are struggling with? They're not just in a zoo. They're not on display for your enjoyment. So, it's it kind of speaks to a lot.
Well, even back then when we were living there was a big homeless problem. It's just 1,000 times worse now.
Yeah, well, it's an expensive city to live in. I think now it's, of all places, San Diego in California, but it's still an expensive place to live. And we were pretty good, had pretty good salaries. I can't speak to you, but I was living in a 4-level eight duplex with 8 levels. The thing was built for 4 roommates. On each level was an apartment. It was an ensuite apartment. It had its own dedicated bathroom and that sort of thing. It was just like a big frat house. So I can't imagine how to have your own apartment or even a house. How could you survive? How could you have that? People have money, and you wonder, like, well, how did these people live? You go over Nob Hill or Pacific, whatever, down into the marina, and you see these giant mansions, you see these beautiful mansions, and I know a lot of it's old money, but geez, to be at the right place at the right time, who knows?
Yeah. You moved to LA?
I moved.
around the same time
Yeah,
I moved to LA. Was that
you
right?
moved to LA first. In fact, I helped move you. Yeah, you got your
No.
you got your U-Haul, and I remember you put your motorcycle in it, and oh yeah.
Oh,
In fact,
you helped me pack the truck.
that's what I meant.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So, but I had like you couldn't fit it all, and you had this. I don't remember what it was like an article of furniture. It was small, but you had that thing jam packed so much that you couldn't put this small piece. I was able to fit it in my. I was driving a Volkswagen Beetle, 72 Beetle. So this is the size of this thing, but you couldn't fit it with. So I brought it with me down to LA.
And I will bet you that every single thing in that truck I no longer have.
Well, I asked you about that really cute Chinese cabinet you had. That it was like an apothecary.
I do
don't
still
know.
have that actually.
Yeah,
It's in the
all
garage.
the drawers are really cute.
Yeah,
yeah.
I use it as my workstation in the garage. Actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you had such a cute little apartment, and
yeah, that was a great little apartment.
That those giant mirrors, and you had a cool style about you. You
had a cool style about you.
Well, it's different. We are. I mean, look at me. Like, oh God, I look at myself and like, geez, who the fuck is this guy? But no, I was so like you were put together. You are put together. I don't need to say past tense. But
oh, you are just throwing the compliments out there.
You had that bad boy thing with all your tattoos. And you were riding a motorcycle. Come on, It was not. This was all like. It wasn't just you didn't just like wake up and.
The motorcycle was fun. I loved riding that motorcycle.
That's one of my favorite memories of riding bitch on the back of that motorcycle across the Golden Gate Bridge into Sausalito. That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Do you remember going up that hill and getting stuck because
I think
there was no way over it?
Yeah. And you said to get off, thank God. I had to get off, and you dropped it?
Yeah, I dropped it because I was trying to figure out how to turn it around.
And you were so embarrassed, and I think my response, you were just like, well, that's not what I want to hear. I mean, I was trying to be...
I was probably a dick, because I was
trying to be supportive, and you're just like, well, I'm like, okay, well.
That's probably true. I was probably embarrassed, and I probably just went like...
Well, I think when you broke up with me...
That's okay.
The phrase was, you're too nice.
That's probably what I probably did say that.
Yeah.
I was so fucked up then.
Well, I mean,
you weren't broken enough for me, Sean, at that time.
Oh, I was. I just know how to hide it.
That's funny.
Being raised by two alcoholics, you know how to hide these things. Anyway.
Yeah. If I couldn't fix you, it didn't last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I should have been more fucked up and
Yeah, if you were more fucked up.
Flipped you off or something. You're like, fuck you, asshole.
When did you meet Brett?
At the gym. I actually moved back to LA because my friend Tim was sick with cancer.
I remember Tim.
And so I went back. That was devastating for me. He was such a close friend of mine. And so I went back and stayed on his couch for 4 months. And, I helped him and he helped me get my footing back in LA. It's funny, the 15 months that I was gone out of LA, just the rent just went crazy. So I had such a hard time finding a new place. And I eventually did. But I met Brett maybe a year after that at Gold's in Hollywood. Infamous Gold's in Hollywood.
Infamous Gold. That's where I met Derek.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah. It's right there on Cole. I don't think maybe it is still Gold's. I don't know.
I think it is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'd been there for years and when I moved back to LA, I went back there. And it's funny, when I met Brett, it was he's such an amazing guy and he's such a giving and kind man. And I was very, very attracted to him. And it's difficult as we look back at that, and I look at the mistakes I made. I wish things had been different, but it's fine.
How long were you together?
20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 20 years. I broke it off. The romantic side of it had ended long ago, and I candidly was probably going through a midlife crisis. And people say, "Well, Sean, how long do you plan on living?" I was 50 at the time. Well, I'm going to be 100. I have a biological maternal grandmother who's still alive, and she's over 100. So I guess it still is possible. It could have been a midlife crisis. But anyway, Brett is he's transcended boyfriend, ex, all those titles, and he's family. And he always will be. But he's going through a really difficult time as we speak. His father is passing away. So he's up in Oregon, and Ray has been just as if you were to meet Ray, you would know that Brett is definitely his son. Brett is like a carbon copy of his father, in physically and also just in just an emotional, very giving person.
Yeah, he's a very, very kind.
He's a very
person, and he has a wicked sense of humor.
Yeah,
which I love because
he's very, I guess, spontaneous about it. Like, yeah. Oh wow, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been quite a journey, and so here we are. I'm once again single. The relationship that I don't really want to go into it just wasn't right for me. And
do you want to give everyone your phone number now? And
oh yeah, it's like I don't have a door; it's just a revolving. I'm on the ground level, and when people
access.
I have the whole scenario actually pre-written on one of my notes on my phone. So when somebody wants to come over, I just copy and paste it. Like, okay, it's the left after the fountain, the first walkway after the tennis courts. I'm not lying, actually. Like, do I really need to type this every time? No. So let's just cut to the chase.
Turning 60, was that difficult for you?
It was difficult because I didn't have the support that I needed with my past boyfriend at the time, my boyfriend at the time. It was
difficult in what way?
Well, it was difficult because I was still floundering with what I wanted and who I found. If you were to look at my life, there have been just an ongoing series of me attempting to try something new, which isn't bad.
No, I think that's awesome.
You kind of I've reinvented myself multiple times. And breaking up with Brett was the right thing to do, but it was also scary as hell. To find myself 60 by myself, all alone. And the question of, am I going to be alone the rest of my life? I was with this guy and questioning, why am I with this guy? We didn't have anything in common. So it was a difficult time. If I had been in where I am now and just turning 60, it would have been a much better situation because I'm by myself now. I can live my life the way I want to. I don't have to answer to anybody. And it would have been a better situation.
Are you afraid of being alone?
I'm not. I've actually been, looking back at pivotal times in my life. The first thing I learned when I was way too young to learn it was you can't really count on other people. You can't count on. It's a sad statement to make, but I was adopted by two people that shouldn't have never had children. Um, the course of being raised by alcoholics, there are a lot of emotional scars in that process. And my first memory was just being ridiculed, and it was just horrible. So
Wow.
the people that you think that are there to help you and love you unconditionally, this is the lesson that I learned, that they're not. People are very selfish. This is not true, but this is the message that a 5-year-old boy received.
Sure.
So I
Yeah.
kind of internalized that. So I have since done a lot of work and worked through that. But when the chips are down, when you fall back to your old habits,
Yeah.
I tend to isolate myself and become alone. I can remember we lived. I grew up in West Virginia, of all places, and we lived in a wooded area. There were trees all around this house, and I would go down into the woods and be alone for hours. And I always kind of go to that space. If anything, I kind of enjoy my alone time. It's kind of my respite and recharge. I can recharge my batteries. If I'm I guess I'm afraid of failing. I'm afraid of not being able to
Mm.
to pay my bills and in that sense.
I get
But
that.
I
Yeah.
lived this long, and I proved that I am able to do it. So anyway,
You
there
made
we
it
are.
this far. Yes.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah.
mean, how many times do I need to tell myself that I can do it? So anyway,
Yeah, but I think we all do that to ourselves. I mean, we each all have a different level of how we tear ourselves down. But
yeah, yeah,
wow, I didn't know that about. Maybe I did know that. Maybe you did tell me about
yeah,
your. I knew you were adopted.
yeah. I've since my adoption was closed, and in New York, each state is different. In New York, unfortunately, is one of the, you would think it wouldn't be, but it's the one of the most um, traditional states for adoption law. And my adoption was in '64. Just the time, um, it was a closed adoption and legally sealed. I wasn't able to find my biological family. Um, I was flash forward, I don't know, 40 years, 45 years. I was working at Starbucks, and I was lamenting to a fellow coworker. Mind you, this guy was 25 years younger than me. I was like, I was lamenting about not being able to find my, I've reached roadblocks. And he said, well, why don't you just do a DNA test? And he was just so matter of fact about it. I'm like, oh. So I did a DNA test and on ancestry.com, and was able to, I have a very methodical mind. I was able to piece together my family tree just from
Wow.
DNA. They're called DNA cousins. So people that you have they'll tell you who you're related to. And I was able to kind of triangulate it. And I remember the first time I actually found my father's side first, and where it all came together. I'm like, oh, well, this is probably him. And then my mother, I actually was harder to find. But I've since found Bonnie, and she's a quirky, beautiful woman. She was 17 when she had me. They were high school sweethearts.
So you met her?
Yeah, I met her. Brett was actually there too and recorded the encounter, and it wasn't the Oprah moment that I was hoping for. She was very guarded. I'm still in the closet with her family. Her mother's still alive and doesn't even know that I exist. And this is how old is Bonnie? She's 17 years old, so she's 60. She just turned 68. And she has a 102-year-old mother, and she's still ashamed of it. She's still ashamed of it. And she since she since got remarried and has 2 children. So I have a half brother and half sister that don't know anything about me.
Oh, wow. How does
Yeah,
that feel?
her name's Heather, and was on Ancestry, and she, you can see who she did her DNA test, and we're like next to each other. We're obviously
Sure.
we share half our DNA, and she's like, I'm not quite sure I understand. Like, I told Bonnie, like, this is not my story. I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I respect Bonnie's decision. She has to tell her daughter about me, not me. So I just said, these DNA tests. I just kind of pushed it off.
Oh, science.
That's such it's such a thing.
Well, according to RFK Jr., science isn't real. So
I know. Well, it's all based on whatever, What was the concept of truth or fact, and how facts have become open to interpretation?
Yeah.
How
Lies are truth and truth is lies.
Right. Like, well, no, facts just by definition are facts.
Yeah.
They've been corroborated by science.
But not in the upside down world.
Right. Well, you can't say the world's flat just because you think it is or because you want it to be.
Yeah.
You can say it, but I guess the idea that if you say it long enough, people
believe it. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think that's why it works with Trump, right? Because he just repeats everything.
Right. It's just, of course, up is down and down is up, and
because he's a reality TV star, everything he says is the truth.
Right. Right. I after Kamala lost, I was done. I was done.
Yeah, I get that.
Because she was she is such an amazing person, and both her and Tim Walz, and to have them as our leaders would have been phenomenal. And it was such a devastating blow for that reality to set in, that there are people in this country who would rather have a bozo, a clown,
yes,
as the president, who's obviously not able to wipe his own ass, or much less lead the country. They'd rather have this guy who doesn't have the qualifications to run anything over a black woman, and that's what it comes down.
And that's what it comes down to. Yeah,
which is the most horrific, and it's insulting. I can't imagine going to another country or traveling abroad and confessing that I'm an American. It would be embarrassing.
I don't think we're well received at this moment in time.
No. I'm like, no. I should, I go to London. It's like, I didn't vote for him. I have a t-shirt.
America. No, I'm not American.
No, I'm Canadian.
That's what we can do.
But you know what? It's when you piss off the most congenial, the friendliest people on the planet, when you piss off Canadians, come on, that you're probably going down the wrong path. Now, I can understand, Latin Americans, because they're fiery, but Canadians are like white bread. They're whiter than they're whiter than me, right? So, I mean, if that's possible. So, you're gonna piss off these people. Like, I don't get it. So,
well, anyway, we're gonna move on from that. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the AIDS ride, because you've done this more than once, right? Because you're doing it this year.
Yeah, this is, thank you for bringing that up. This is the last AIDS Lifecycle. This has been going on for 30 years, from San Francisco to Los Angeles. It's over seven days, 545 miles. Yeah, it's a fundraiser for both the LA Gay and Lesbian Center and the San Francisco Center, and the funds go directly for helping people with HIV and AIDS. And it's the last year because it's been so costly to put on, especially after the pandemic, a lot of the townships down the coast have increased their fees and blah, blah, blah. So it's become so cost prohibitive to put on. So they decided to finally put an end to it. It's sad because not only is it funding for people that, low income people that need, their medicine as one example, but it's also been part of our community for 30 years. The gay, it started out as the California AIDS Ride, and then it transitioned into the AIDS Lifecycle. So it's kind of been part of our culture, and to see it end, it's sad.
Yeah.
People
I
come
agree
together.
with you.
It's been an example. It's been one of the few bright examples that show the resilience of our community to the world. And in that sense, it's, I think, really, really important. And it's kind of it's a bittersweet ending to it. So
yeah,
I hadn't done it for 11 years. I was 49 when I did my last one. It was the 10th anniversary at the time of the AIDS Lifecycle. And I got that ominous email last September saying, this is the final one. So the hook worked for me, which is good. I raised over $7,000, and
was that your goal?
Yeah, I've been training 49 and 60. Those are two different ages, and getting this coming weekend, I'm doing back-to-back rides. I'm doing this Saturday is the day on the ride. The Gay and Lesbian Center puts on a mock ride locally in Los Angeles. It's a 70-mile ride in and around. It starts in Lincoln Park and goes up past Glendale and then into Pasadena. But they have pit stops and they have lunch. They do the whole thing. So it's good for the roadies. It's good for the people that are putting the ride on, and it's good for obviously the riders. I'm going to drive out, and my friend Mike and I are going to be doing it together. So, and then the next day on Sunday, the local bike club that I'm a member of, the Desert Road Runners, putting on their Century Ride. So it'll be a 170-mile ride this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish they had planned it differently, but it'll be good because it's actually an exact copy of what the first 2 days of the ride are. The first day of the ride goes from Cow Palace in Daly City to Santa Cruz, and that's about 80 miles, I believe. And then the second day goes from Santa Cruz to King City, I believe, in Salinas Valley. It's a beautiful ride, but it's 105 miles. So I'm replicating that. So I feel if I can do it, if I can do this, I can.
Well, you just did 110 this last weekend.
Yeah, but yes, I did. I'm not going to discount it.
No,
I'm slowly working my way up, but I did 110, which I'm going to be doing in one day this weekend, basically. So that's what the Century is. It starts from here in Palm Springs, goes all the way down like Mecca, Thermal area. There's a have you ever heard of was it Ladders? There's a trail down there. It's Box Canyon. So basically, we're riding down to Box Canyon and back. So it's 50 miles each way. So, and it'll be a challenge. They have a bike tech guy, and one of the roadies rented an RV. So it's pretty amazing. So I'm amazed at this bike club, the Desert Road Runners, and Colleen and Brett and Mike and all the roadies that have put on these rides. These training rides are pretty phenomenal. We're on Dillon Road in DHS, and Colleen has her tent with the Desert Road Runners sign. It's like out in the middle of nowhere. It's like this oasis. It's just pretty amazing. So
that's cool.
I am forever grateful for these wonderful people, and I just have to embrace that because there's so much crap in the world. It's nice to know that there are amazing people.
It's a bummer that it is ending, though, especially now that funding is being cut.
I know.
And I totally get it that it's getting too expensive.
Yeah, it's sad. There's a town called Bradley right in the middle of the state, and the ride has gone through it forever, since day one. And it's a small little town, and the local school system puts on a barbecue when we're in town that day. And the funds for this one event pays for their school, pays for all their extracurricular activities for the year. So that is just one example of something, how this is affecting multiple people. It's not just our community, but it's affecting other communities as well. So it is sad. It's sad to see that it's ending. And just if you've ever gone to like a closing ceremony, or if you ever met somebody at one of the camps, it's just this love bubble. You're in this bubble that moves, every day moves down the coast of California. And when
I've heard that. I have heard that before. The camaraderie is...
Yeah, it's an amazing experience. And you kind of, at the end of it, it's like you're in this post-traumatic stress thing where like, why isn't the world like this?
Yeah.
Like, this is what the world should be like. Non-judgmental, people pulling for each other, where things like kindness and integrity aren't just folksy ideas. They're actually, these are ideas that people strive for. Now you're considered weak if you have those.
I do, I guess I'm being Pollyanna now, but I do believe that a larger percentage of people are that way, but the other side is louder.
Okay.
And I think the people who feel the way that you're talking about and feel like we should be helping each other, we should take care of each other, we should be there for each other, are not loud enough, are not outspoken because they didn't feel like they needed to be.
Right. And I think it's important to, what are you, militant Buddhist, or I don't know. I mean, how do you approach that? I mean, I'm going to have to go back to it again. Just that those months that Kamala was campaigning, you had that sense of hope, and that was part of her campaign. Do you want this negativity of the Trump, or do you want something positive? And that's again why it was such a hard blow to see that end, and people chose this negative. I mean, just everything about him. And he's made it acceptable. He's made it acceptable to laugh at disabled veterans.
Yes.
He's made that, you can mock people, and it's just horrible. It's like, and Christians are behind him. Like,
Christians, fake Christians.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
these people aren't Christians. I call them lowercase c's, lowercase Christians.
Right. I mean, obviously I don't have a high sense of religion anyway. I mean, spirituality and religion for me are vastly different.
Yeah.
If you take the teachings of all the prophets, has nothing to do with the religions that are based on them. Whether it be Muhammad, Buddha, Jesus, all of them. I mean, you get humans into it, you're gonna, it's gonna become tarnished.
Do you believe in God?
I do.
You believe in a supreme being?
I believe that, yes, but I don't think it's as simple as that. I don't think it's that, My Fair Lady album cover with God, in the clouds. Right?
Although that would be awesome.
I don't think it's that bearded guy, I think it's something bigger I believe it's beyond our conception or they will understand. But I think that people go and maybe rejoin a community, a sense of connection that we lose when we're in the way we are now in our living space.
Well, sort of like our consciousness. Our
Yeah,
consciousness is
right.
God. Is that
I think so. I think that's
okay?
that's a really astute way of putting it. Um, I lost my puppies. Wolfgang died 5 years ago, and his brother 5 years before that. So I look at the wonderful. I mean, this is just my belief. The wonderful gift that they gave me of knowing that I'll see them again when I die. So dying for me isn't such a scary idea anymore. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not seeking it out.
Well, that's good. Good to know, Sean.
Right. But when it's my time, I have to believe that I'm going to see my loved ones again. I have to believe that I'm going to be joined by the people that mattered. I'm going to see Tim. I'm going to see my puppies. Um, I have to believe that. I have to believe that's true, because otherwise, is it just chaos? Is the world,
Hmm.
is it just chaos, and we're all just living? If that were the case, then let all the jerks do what they're. What's the point? What's the point of being a nice
Well,
person?
the I think that the point is to we don't we want to live in a society where we're all following the laws and the rules so that we
Yeah,
can all get
yeah,
along and progress forward and eat
yeah,
and survive and
yeah.
have shelter. I think that's kind of the point. I don't believe in a god. My belief is that it takes energy to run anything, right?
Yeah,
Even us.
yeah,
And maybe that's consciousness, I don't know, but
yeah.
um I think that when we die that energy just goes back into the field of energy.
I That's kind of what I believe. It's just another way of describing um, what a lot of religions believe. Actually, religions will put that in context of something else, but if you boil it down to, that's basically what a lot of, I think, one of, like, Buddha. Actually, Buddhism doesn't believe that any of this is real. This is all just an illusion that your mind is creating. Like this conversation that we're having is, yeah, it's complicated, but
I
the
remember
idea
reading
that,
books like about that
yeah,
early on. Yeah, I
it
don't know
can
if
be
I can.
scary, the thought of that, but it also can be kind of comforting, because if that were the case, then you can kind of project positive things in your life. Um,
Yeah, there's a book called Illusions by Richard Bach,
okay,
and it's kind of that same concept, but it's actually a great book. It's this
yeah,
guy who's an air flyer, like he flies planes from field to field to give people rides,
oh, fun, okay,
and he's actually a messiah, and
hmm.
he is teaching this other person basically that the
Yeah,
whole world is just an illusion.
yeah,
You can swim in land, you can walk on water, you
yeah,
can, your mind just has to
yeah,
allow it.
yeah.
um
Well, that's what enlightenment is. You kind of release all of that, and you see the true nature of, according to Buddhism. That am I going to say this right? I'm not the representative of Buddhism, but the true nature of everything is emptiness. Um,
hmm.
there is no. It's not nothingness. It's just emptiness. If you were to break down any object, get lower and smaller until you get to the atomic level, and then there's spaces in between the atoms, and eventually you get to no space. So it's just an interesting way of perceiving the world.
Well, yeah, I mean, why not?
Right. But anyway, so $7,000, I still need some more money, so if anybody wants to donate to
Yeah,
my ride,
how do they donate?
it's you go to AIDS Lifecycle, and my name is Sean Rhodes, SeanRhodes. My participant number is 45616. So with that information, somebody should be able to find me. And the ride is actually the first week in June, so we have about a month left that I can get money from people. It's going to be an amazing experience. I've already met some, as I said, some amazing people, and just the camaraderie that I've achieved this year. It's been kind of a life-saving experience for me, because I was ending a really horrible situation, and so I kind of created a little love bubble for myself. So
that's cool.
I'm looking forward to it. So,
how old were you when you came out?
Early. I was in college, like 20.
So if you look back to that person,
yeah,
are you the person that you saw when you look forward at that age?
Oh, wow.
Or are you just the illusion of it?
I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it. That's a really interesting question. I think I would be proud of the person that I became. I'm self-reliant. I'm a nice person. I care about people.
Mm-hmm.
I go out of my way to ask people how they are, and I truly want to know. It's not just a pleasantry. I'll help my friends any way I can, and those are more important to me, and they always have been, than physical wealth and status and acquiring things. What you do in your life is more important than the end result, and that house on the hill and and the expensive car. Those things have never impressed me.
Well, if you could talk to that person, what would you tell them?
Go right into accounting. Yeah.
Don't waste your time with all the other stuff.
I'm serious. Let that be your vocation. Have photography, animation. Those can be your hobbies. Those can be things that you enjoy doing. I am still a font guru because I was a graphic artist for years. I love fonts. I'm just the strangest things, but I'll like be sitting at a light and looking at a billboard. I'm like, oh, that's a cute font, and it's something, it's not Helvetica or whatever. It's like, oh, that's fun. So I'll always have that. But right now, I'm really wishing that I had become a CPA, because I would have it would have been an easier life. I wouldn't, I still wouldn't be acquiring all these wonderful things. That's not the person that I am, but I wouldn't be floundering. I wouldn't have gone through those stages where unnecessary. Maybe that's how I became the person I am. I had to go through those struggles.
Yeah.
So I guess I shouldn't discount those experiences.
No, I think about that sometimes, what would I say or how would I guide my younger self? And
right.
There are a lot of things I say, you don't want to do that, but
right.
I wouldn't be where I'm at.
Right.
I may not have my son,
right.
So I can't discount
absolutely
the journey, even though there were times when it was difficult,
horrible,
or
like this past year, like what the fuck was I thinking? Like,
well, you were thinking with your heart.
But looking back, I work well with numbers, and God, my dad is still alive. My adoptive father, he's my only father, and God, he was going through a divorce, and he did the best as he could. But if he had sat me down and said, "Well, Sean, maybe photography isn't the best direction. Maybe you can figure out something. We can figure out something else." But that never happened, which is fine. As I said, I can't blame the man for the way that he raised me. He raised a strong survivor. One of the first memories that I have of my father was the first job I had. He sat me down and said, "If they tell you to clean the toilet, you clean the toilet the best way you possibly can." And that work ethic is instilled in me, and I have a lot to thank my father for. So
yeah, my father was the same way. You do the best that you can.
Yeah, exactly. And nothing is beneath you. I worked at Starbucks, and they'd tell me to take the trash out, and I wouldn't think twice about it. But a lot of these kids
You,
would be like, I don't take the trash out."
yeah, but you'd take the trash out better than anybody else could take the trash out.
Fuck yeah.
So I have a list of 40 random questions. All you have to do is say,
Oh
give me
my
a
God,
number.
I love that.
Or you just pick a number, actually.
Are you like Jessica Walter?
Jessica Walter.
Isn't that her name? What kind of tree are you? Wasn't that Jessica?
Barbara Walters.
Barbara. Wait, who's Jessica? Jessica Rabbit? What?
That's pretty funny. Jessica Walters signing off.
She's an actress. Yeah, see, I wasn't that far off. It's cool. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Anyway. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions? What kind of tree am I?
Do you want to?
I'm an elm tree.
Do you want to try one of my random questions? I was trying to think of that. I would have a sort of a segment at the end of every episode where I'd ask a random question, but I don't know what to call the segment yet. So now it's just 40 random questions. So pick a number between 1 and 40.
Ooh, I'm good with numbers. 30.
30. If your Grindr profile had Yelp reviews, what would your top rated one say?
He actually looks like his photograph.
Oh, you use real pictures of yourself?
Yeah. Although I need to update them because I went through the process of removing the one tattoo that I had. So I have to, since the tattoo is not there anymore, I have to redo it. So
anyway. You got rid of a tattoo?
Yeah. I had this dragon tattoo.
Yeah.
It's like a tribal tattoo. Yeah, I had it removed.
Oh.
That sucker was painful. I don't know if you remember it. It was a substantial tattoo. It started, and I had an appendectomy scar, and it went down my side, and it ended on my butt. But you think of a tattoo. How long does it take to do a tattoo? Like a couple hours, right? So I did that. I had to do that procedure 10 times to have the tattoo removed. Yeah.
It does it like a layer of skin at a time. Is that how it lasers it off that way?
It does that, but the laser will actually clump the ink particles together, and your body, since they're larger particles at that point, your body can recognize them and dispose of them. So, and most of the ink doesn't actually leave your body. They've done autopsies of people that have done just what I did, and all of the ink is in their lymph system. So if you open up my lymph nodes, they'd be black because all the ink is in. Yeah, it's very interesting.
If you go through that procedure, but like someone like me who hasn't done that procedure, it's not in there.
No. All the ink is in your skin still.
Oh, okay, got it.
But by the process,
it doesn't leach into your lymph.
Oh yeah, you could, I guess.
Wow. So okay. Why did you get it removed?
Why or when?
Why?
I had this white skin thing that I was going for at the time, and I still, I like just what's the word? Just the clean, smooth skin idea. And I wasn't happy with it. I was always looking at it like, oh, wish I hadn't done that. So I was able to get rid of it. So anyway, there's still a little bit of scarring from the procedure, but it's pretty much gone. It's amazing what you can do now. With your tattoo, that would be incredibly time. Who's that guy that did that? There's some rocker there.
Well, there was, oh my God, I can't think of his last name. David. Oh, wow. He's going to kill me.
Yeah, but it's insane. I mean, it's one little scar. It's usually a tramp stamp or something you want to get rid of. But no, when you do like full sleeve, maybe not so much. So
yeah, I don't want to get rid. I'm fine.
Yeah. Well,
there's a guy, and I can't remember his name.
Your tattoos are fucking hot. So yeah.
There's a guy on YouTube. He's also on TikTok, but he has tattoos everywhere on his face. Everywhere.
Oh yeah.
and he's building like a compound or house out in the Arizona desert.
Okay.
He just had his eyes done.
What?
And it's a procedure. There are very few people in the world who will do it, but it actually puts ink into the whites of your eyes. And
oh my God.
It's a wild look. Like when you look at his face,
Or like cat eyes or something, like.
oh, it makes them look deeper.
Wow.
If that makes any sense.
Wow. That's just, whew.
Yeah.
That's dedication for you.
That's dedication. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he has all kinds of crazy, cool tattoos.
Yeah. On the right guy, like you, or, it's really hot. I love tattoo, the traditions of tattoo, the traditional, like the Japanese tattoos and the Maori, obviously, are pretty amazing. But I just had a stupid tribal tattoo that I got in the 90s. I'm like, okay, maybe not.
Yeah, tattoos are cool. I like them. I don't think I would get another one. I think I'm done.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have the patience to sit in a chair like that anymore.
Brad has actually gotten more tattoos. He's changed the tattoo that he had on his shoulder, and he's matched it on the other side. And this artist has been phenomenal. He's brought in some, these amazing Japanese details into it, and he has like waves, and like as an honor of one of our puppies who. He was a dachshund, and Wolfgang loved to eat hibiscus flowers. I have no idea why, but so he has this hibiscus flower on his tattoo. It's just really wonderful. It's a wonderful testament to the love that we had for dogs. So it's amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sean. Thanks for sitting with me for the last hour. Has it been an hour?
Thank you.
It's been a little.
I'm surprised that I had enough to say.
See, I told you it wasn't so bad.
No, let's do it again.
Okay.
You asked for it.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll see you at the gym.
That was my friend, Sean Rhodes, reminding us how much we grow through connection, reinvention, love, and even heartbreak. I'm especially moved by his commitment to the final AIDS Lifecycle Ride this June. If you want to support Sean and the incredible work this ride funds, you'll find his donation link in the show notes. We also talked about family, both the ones we're born into and the ones we find, and the search for meaning in a world that doesn't always make it so easy. Through it all, Sean shows us that kindness, humor, and curiosity can carry us a long way. If this episode resonated with you, please leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or send me a voice memo at davidbigor@aol.com. You can also find me on Substack and Blue Sky at David Bigor. Until next time, be bold, be you, be free. This is Friends, Loves, and Life with me, David Bigor.